Initially, the owner of this bull felt relieved after finally finding his animal. The giant male cow had escaped somewhere during the night and was now nudging this tree repeatedly. And when the farmer came closer, he saw why. A strange root-like ball was attached to the tree. But when he looked inside, he turned pale instantly. Before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't. And hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. Luke always started his mornings by walking the fields and making sure every animal was where it should be. He had cows grazing in multiple pastures and one smaller field for his good old friend Cornet, an 8-year-old bull he couldn't let go of being sent off to be slaughtered. But it was this very bull that today would give Luke the fright of his lifetime. The young farmer walked past his barn in the first fields. He checked boxes and thought that everyone was fine and where they should be, until he reached the field belonging to Cornet. When Luke reached the fencing of Cornet's field, he instantly noticed that something was wrong. Normally, he saw Cornet grazing somewhere on some grass the moment he got there, but the small piece of land appeared empty. And not just that, the gate to Cornet's enclosure was somehow opened. The old wooden gate was wide open, swinging softly in the morning breeze, and Luke's beloved bull was nowhere to be seen. Instantly, a spark of unease rushed into the young farmer's body. He scanned the grassy field with growing worry, trying to spot Cornet, the only animal that was supposed to be in there. Concern mounting, Luke hopped onto his tractor and started circling the perimeter of the fields, searching every corner. He worried Cornet might have wandered off toward the road, a place where cars drove dangerously fast. If anything happened to his beloved bull, Luke could not forgive himself. But it was this very same bull that was about to give Luke a major surprise. Luke pressed harder on the pedal, trying to cover as much ground as he could. And that's when he heard it. A deep, unmistakable moo sounded from somewhere near the sandy part of his property, near the tree line. Luke recognized it immediately. Only Cornet had that deep, grumbling call. So without hesitation, he turned the tractor and hurried across the field, hoping Cornet had stayed out of trouble. As Luke got closer, he saw Cornet pacing around a tight cluster of trees. The bull was moving in odd figure-8 patterns, looking anxious for some reason. Cornet's tail swished back and forth, and his head kept swinging toward one particular tree. However, at that moment, Luke was yet unaware of the gravity of the scene. Luke stopped his tractor about 15 feet from the tree and stepped out of it. He figured that calling his dear horned friend would be enough to grab its attention and lead it back to its fenced field. But it didn't work. Luke called out and eventually even screamed, but Cornet didn't even register his voice. Something about this tree captivated Cornet so much that it didn't have space free in its mind for any other signal from the outside. Luke couldn't figure out what it was yet, but that was because Cornet was still shielding a lower section of the tree with its body. Luke hoped food would help, so he grabbed Cornet's usual breakfast from the back of the tractor, thinking the familiar scent would lure him away. But Cornet hardly even glanced at the offering. His entire focus remained fixed on that strange tree, his eyes never leaving it for a second. And that's when things got even stranger. Instead of calming down, Cornet started acting more violently toward the tree all of a sudden. The giant bull began nudging the base of the tree with his nose. Again and again, he pressed into the base, increasingly harder every time. And that's when Luke was it. Suddenly, Cornet gave the tree a hard kick with his back leg, sending a cloud of dust into the air. As Luke brushed his eyes, he saw the entire tree move back and forth. But the mysterious bulge was unscathed and refused to move even an inch. "That's a sturdy thing," Luke said, scratching his head. At this point, Luke also couldn't help but feel captivated by the strange tree lump. But its looks and its sturdy nature were just the beginning, because the really interesting part came when Luke eventually was able to peek inside. After the large bull finished kicking, it tried prying the bulge open with its horn. The large male cow poked and prodded, getting the pointy end of its horn right into the bulge. Luke patiently waited beside his friend. But when nothing came of its efforts, Luke suggested that he'd give it a try. The curious farmer crouched beside the object, telling Cornet to step aside. Luke crouched down, reaching out with his hand to inspect the knotted root ball. As his fingers pressed against the rough surface, he felt something odd. The ball was strangely warm, much warmer than the surrounding earth or tree. It was as if something hidden inside was generating steady heat from within. But as Luke tried to slide his other hand along the bulge, Cornet suddenly blocked his way, stomping forward and lowering his head. The bull pawed at the dirt, positioning himself protectively between Luke and the root ball. His huffing and puffing left no doubt he was warning his owner to stay away. From that moment on, he refused to let Luke near the bulge, even threatening him with a horn. The sudden aggression was alarming. Cornet had always been gentle, the kind of bull Luke once slept beside in the stable without fear. With no other choice, Luke used the tractor and its trailer to block the bull, creating a temporary fence around the tree. Only then could he examine the strange bulge in peace. Pressing an ear against it, Luke heard faint clicking and tapping sounds from deep within. Disturbed, he decided he needed tools. He retrieved gloves and a shovel, knelt down, and jabbed the shovel into the root ball. A dull thud sounded, and Cornet let out a loud, pained moo, as if the strike had hurt him directly. His agitation grew, and he began circling the tractor, shoving his body against it with surprising force. Luke had never seen him like this. Fearing he might be crushed, Luke backed away, climbed into the seat, and drove off slowly. As soon as he left, Cornet returned to the tree, pressing himself protectively against the bulge. Realizing he couldn't handle this alone, Luke called his neighbor Tom and explained the bull's behavior. Tom agreed to come immediately. While waiting, Luke watched Cornet from a safe distance. Tom arrived 15 minutes later, and the two men gathered ropes, gloves, and tools before heading toward the trees. As they approached, they saw Cornet leaning his entire weight against the tree, almost as if trying to climb it. Luke tried honking the tractor horn to distract him. Cornet finally turned his head, muscles tense, watching them closely. Luke felt guilty, but they had no choice. They needed to move him. Luke told Tom the plan. Tom would gently push Cornet away with the tractor while Luke cut the bulge free. Tom hesitated, but eventually agreed. He climbed into the tractor, and Luke grabbed an axe. Tom started pushing the bull, foot by foot, while Cornet resisted with all his strength. Slowly, the tractor overpowered him, forcing him back more than 50 feet. With Cornet at a safe distance, Luke swung the axe repeatedly until the root mass broke free and rolled onto the ground. "Come over here, quick, and help me lift this thing into the tractor," Luke called. Tom drove over, and together they loaded the heavy object into the trailer without stopping to inspect it. Cornet realized what was happening and charged toward them, so Luke and Tom slammed the tailgate shut and sped toward the farmhouse, the bull racing after them. They skidded to a stop by the porch, rolled the mysterious object out, and muscled it into the house. Inside, they finally caught their breath. With the strange lump secured on the kitchen table, both men stood over it, unsure where to start. Tom examined the surface of the lump, running his hands over the rough outer layer. Outside, Cornet let out another desperate moo and pressed his head against the kitchen window, his eyes fixed on the table as if he could sense what they were uncovering. Working together, Luke and Tom peeled away the strange paper layers. At the center, they found a tangle of wires, some twisted, others loose. When Tom snipped one with pliers, the entire shell shifted, revealing a small electronic device inside. Luke lifted it carefully. It was rectangular, weighted, and fitted with a small antenna. Cornet's eyes tracked its movement through the window, fixated on the device. Luke turned it over, noticing faded numbers and a worn brand logo. He looked up the code on his phone, waiting as the page loaded. When the result appeared, both men froze. It was a high-pitched sonar lure used by farmers to herd cattle from a distance. Instead of a dog, it emitted a sound only cows could hear, guiding them wherever the user wanted. Luke had never owned anything like it. "Why would anyone attach this to a tree on my property?" he wondered aloud. Tom could only shake his head, equally confused. The device's presence, so close to Cornet's pasture, made no sense unless someone had placed it there intentionally. Luke looked at the bull through the window. Cornet's sad, pleading eyes were glued to the device, drawn to it by instinct or memory. Only one person came to Luke's mind. Old Mr. Greeley, 2 properties north, had always wanted to buy Cornet. He'd made repeated offers, each time more insistent than the last. Luke remembered the way Greeley watched Cornet over the fence, admiration mixed with something sharper. Tom agreed that Greeley was stubborn enough to try something underhanded if it helped him get what he wanted. Luke flicked the sonar device off. Immediately, Cornet's attention shifted, the pull disappearing as if a spell had broken. The reaction confirmed the device's influence. They needed proof. Luke suggested using the lure as bait. They climbed into the tractor, turned it on, and drove away slowly. Cornet followed, just as before, drawn by the high-frequency sound. They returned to the original tree, and Luke switched the device off. Instantly, Cornet stopped, sniffed the air, and turned his head north toward the neighbor's property. Without hesitation, he trotted in that direction. Luke and Tom followed. A few hundred meters ahead, hidden at the base of another tree, they found a second papier-mâché lump identical to the first. This was no accident. The devices formed a trail, leading Cornet step by step toward Greeley's fields. Continuing north, they followed Cornet past Luke's property line and onto Greeley's. Near the border, half buried in the weeds, lay the final lump. The path was complete. Someone had planned to lure Cornet away in stages. Luke and Tom walked straight to Greeley's door, carrying the sonar device and a piece of the fake root. Greeley answered, guilt written plainly on his face. When confronted, he admitted to the scheme, apologizing and promising never to repeat it. With the truth uncovered, Luke and Tom led Cornet back to his pasture. The bull relaxed immediately, returning to his calm nature. As Luke watched him graze, he felt the farm settle into its familiar peace. Whatever trouble had come their way, he knew he would always look out for his friend.